And that's it. Congratulations, you know options. You want to know about options, okay? Everything about options is confusing. I get you. It's absolute bullshit. And the way everyone teaches it is absolutely criminal. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh, I sell an option. Remember, it's the right, not the obligation. What? Okay? Nobody's going to get that. Options are a tool, right? All they are is a contract. You between a random person in the market. But again, who cares, right? All you need to understand is payoff structures as long as you sell them before expiration, right? Contracts only exist for a certain amount of time. Okay, so that's first. It's a contract. What do contracts do? They expire, meaning they are no longer enforced. That means that thing that you promised to do, you don't have to do it anymore. And that's when you really have to understand options, because then they get complicated. So what are we going to do is we're going to say always close before expiration. So you don't have to learn anything else about it. So you don't have to learn complex shit. So again, all of this works if you follow these two things, and then I don't have to fucking explain all the complicated shit to you. Which I can, but I'm not going to do, because Rita is about value. Okay, so now we get to the good stuff. So number 3, if you toss those options before expiration, what you're going to learn is payoff diagrams. That's all you need to know. You don't need to learn Greeks. Fuck the Greeks. They're poor ways to understand options. You know why? Because it's kind of looking at a moving car, right? You know the velocity of a moving car down the road, right? But you don't know anything about the driver, the acceleration, the reaction time of that driver. And that's exactly like the Greeks. It only tells you the velocity of the car. It doesn't tell you at what rate it's accelerating. Because what if you have a Ferrari that's only going 10 miles down the road, or 10 miles an hour down the road, right? But that car is capable of going from 10 miles an hour to 100 in very, very little seconds, right? But what if you have a Ford Pinto? It could be going down the road at 10 miles an hour. But it's not capable of going to 100. It's probably going to take it like 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. That's a very different option. And what does that mean? Well, if you think of the velocity of the car as your P&L, right? You don't want to have a Ferrari coming at you if you're staring at losses. That's going to be a bigger risk than the Ford Pinto. Well, if you look at the Greeks, they don't tell you very much, right? They only tell you velocity. And so if you look at the Greeks, you are not seeing anything about what's going to happen to you. That's why it's so terrible, because people are not looking at it correctly. So here's the secret that no one's telling you. What the fuck is a payoff diagram? Very little content on the internet goes over a payoff diagram. All it is you guys know graphs, you have your X and Y. So on Y, they're saying how much is the P&L if this option does something over time, right? So that's your profit and your loss. Profit is the top, and loss is if you go under the 0 line. So what's graphed on Y is dollars, and what's graphed on X is the price of the stock. So for example, a very simple option, we're going to do a long call. And I'm going to show you a tool that does all this for you. You just need to know on a basic level what this graph looks like, right? So a long call is typically going to be like this. Okay, so what is that saying? It's saying that, like, let's say you bought a long call on Tesla because you're a crazy fucking person, and you decided to get a long Tesla call at 700, right? And you go onto this weird option chain and you're like, fuck, I don't even know what I'm looking at. But I know that the contract price is 700, right? So as Tesla goes above 700, right? Because all you need to know is a call What happens when someone calls you? You pick up a phone, right? If you're an old person and you still have a handset, okay? But you still pick up the cell phone, right? So what is a long call going to do? It's going to benefit when the price of Tesla goes up. And when you have a put, that's a bet that it's going to go down. So we're going to put it down, right? So that means when it goes up. But again, none of this shit matters, right? None of this shit matters because you're going to do payoff diagrams. So all you need to know is your payoff diagram. So don't even care that it's a long call. Just know that this type of thing is going to give you a payoff diagram like this, right? So if the price of Tesla goes above 700, you will start to go into profit. See that? If it goes below 700, you will only lose a fixed amount. And that's it. Congratulations, you know options. I know that seems crazy, right? But this is what you're gonna do. Let's pull up Thinkorswim, okay? And you can find it in most brokerage platforms. So let's just do Tesla. And it's gonna pull up option chains. So it's gonna have all types of options that you can do. You don't know anything about them and you don't fucking need to know anything about them. Okay, just fucking pick one. Just fucking pick one, okay? We're gonna do the one that I already explained. So it's gonna be a single. So at the end of the day, you probably only need to pick one, right? So now we pick one, you can pick butterfly, whatever you want, doesn't matter, it prices it for it. So you pick single, which is either a long call or put. So you have the left side, which is the calls, the right side, which is the puts. See, it says it right there. Now, you don't know what the impact is of picking these different ones, right? Because you don't need to know. I'll show you how it shows you what happens. So we're going to pick one that's in the gray area. Now, it's going to show you a little indicator, buy or sell. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I'll show you how it shows you what happens. So now we're just going to do a long call. It'll tell you the type here. When you hit it, it'll tell you put here. So we'll just pick this one. And what you're going to do is you're going to right click and hit analyze trade. Now, the next thing you're going to hit is risk profile. Okay, this is, and we're going to close the one that I had done previously. And remember, it is just like the graph that I showed you. You see the profit on the left, on the y-axis, and you see the price of Tesla going up and down. So you can see the payoff diagram is really all you need to know. Okay, so the blue line is at expiration. But remember, I told you, you're gonna kick these things before expiration. So all you have to do is maybe you learn this drop down and it's going to tell you all the scenarios. So what we're going to do is we're going to add multiple day step and it's going to tell you what happens every week. So it's set to 7 days. So every line, and we can stretch this out a little bit. So that's all you need to know, guys. All you need to know is this payoff diagram. So you can see what happens to the P&L as time goes on. Let's zoom in a little bit because Tesla won't move that much, right? And so Tesla options are kind of huge, right? You can see that if Tesla doesn't move past your break even, what's the current price? $6.77. Okay, so if it doesn't move up, time starts to eat away. You know how people talk about options and the time starts to eat away? Well, you don't really need to know that because you're just doing a scenario kind of analysis. You're seeing that in 1 week that Tesla has to move up another $10 for you to even be break even. See this? In another week, it needs to move up another $6, $7 for you to be break even. So you know that the stock has to move for the options to move with this particular type. Later it goes on, the worse it gets, right? But see, a Greek really isn't going to tell you exactly what the break-even price is. It's not going to tell you that. It's like a little bit of I think it's an inaccurate way to look at it. You just keep going through the options that's on this scenario generator, right? So now we can look at if volatility goes up. So if volatility goes positive, right, it's good for you. Now remember, purple is you buying it like right now. So if the stock price goes up, you instantly start to make money. If volatility goes up, then you just start to make money because volatility went up. And then what you can go research is if these volatility percentages, which you can see, if you look out there, if you go back to trade, it'll tell you the volatility. So right now we're at 60%. And then you go back to analyze and you can see that we're currently at 60%, which is what it's modeling. If we go up, it's going to benefit you. And then you go to negatives and you can see that it makes you go into losing money, right? If we pick some of these other ones, right? Expiration only matters if you have like a calendar where you're picking, I guess, different expirations. Like a calendar has the front month and then another month expiration. So that gets a little bit more complicated. Yeah, you can pick a date that you want. So you can go in here and you can pick a date, especially if you want to like model before and after earnings. That's an important thing. But in this way, it gives you a structure to learn options without learning the complicated shit. Someone talks and they say, oh, you know, just like I talked about a calendar, right? Who the fuck knows what a calendar is? I don't know what that fucking is in the beginning. So all you have to do is when you're consuming someone else's content maybe, or even mine, just go in here and you pick a calendar. So you pick a calendar, right? You don't even know what a calendar is. So you just go over here and don't pick any of the ones close because if you don't know about options, right, you don't want to be near expiration. So that's the only thing. So maybe you go here and you pick one of these. So now we just do, again, right-click Analyze. And you're going to uncheck that single because we don't need that. And now, look at this. Completely different payoff diagram, right? And it's smaller amounts. And this was what I said is the magic of options is it allows you to play things with less money. Right? You know how everyone was so happy that fractionals were out there? Well, this helps you kind of design your own payoff diagram. Maybe you think you want to make money if the stock stays still. Well, then you can start to get familiar with the different types of option spreads and then say, okay, well, when you finally get familiar with it, you realize, okay, well, that's something like this. Now, this is a little inverted because it's in negative, so this one's probably not good, but you can see that it has a curve saying that you make money, right? You would technically probably make money if Tesla stayed between 600 and 700. I think it's because you have to sell a calendar instead of net buy. So if you had done the sell button instead, right-clicked, analyze trade, yeah. Here you can see that you only really make money and see that when it meets the cursor, it's telling you how much profit. So what you can tell from this is you make more money if Tesla moves a lot. Unfortunately, the way the pricing is, and it's probably fucked up because it's not during market hours and Tesla's probably moved a little bit after hours. But when the market is open, these graphs are going to make a little bit more sense. So you can do again and set the day step, and so you can see what happens after every 7 days. So you end up actually maybe losing money after, if we go to the peach one, if too much time goes on and Tesla doesn't move, right? It makes the wings smaller, so your profit area is less. And it tells you exactly what happens. So if Tesla goes to 800, I know that in 7 days I will make $282. And in 7 days, I will make $322.92. And I'm looking at the key in the bottom left. If I'm looking at the key in the bottom left, I can see that if I go to 2 weeks, I make $405, which is crazy because remember in the previous option, as time went on, I lost money. In this one, as time goes on, you make more money. So you could do it the old way, which is to know that calendars are theta positive, which means theta benefits you. I can't think that way. I just need to know that when I sell a calendar, as time goes on, I most likely will make more money, right? And this is the way I like to look at it. Why? Because it covers every scenario. If it goes to 850, I know I will make more money. If volatility expands, what happens? Something just tells me that it does it, as opposed to me knowing it, but then I don't really know the numbers behind it. Okay, so we're gonna quiz you now. So we programmed it for a decrease in volatility. So does a decrease in volatility benefit this kind of option spread? Okay, so you all got it right. Okay, volatility does not help us in this scenario. Why? Because as volatility goes down, which are these numbers, as volatility decreases, we make more money, right? We'll change that to green, we make more money. And what's really great is that it changes it based on the pricing that's out there. You just must. It's an absolute must. I cannot emphasize this more. If you decide to do options and learn this way, you absolutely have to toss the options before expiration, because you're not going to understand what happens to you through expiration unless you understand the contracts of it. Now, most of these are American options, so you can the contract can get assigned during it, but it's not going to show it to you in the payoff diagram that's a possibility. If you end up, so the last part of my talk is, if you do end up getting assigned, the number one thing that you need to do is call your broker or come into Discord, and we will help explain to you what is happening. Okay, I will educate you on what's going to happen now. I can't tell you what to do with your position, but I'm going to say, well, they assigned you on a put, and so this is what's happening to you. But that's typically why you want to trade the spreads, okay? Life is not going to end. You'll be fine. Typically what you want to do is stick to the spreads, verticals. Stay away from straddles. No straddles. Let me see. What are the only dangerous ones? Until you start to understand them. So call your broker. Yeah, if you just stick with those and make sure that you're not out by expiration, or that you're out before expiration, you'll be fine. That's about it.